I think Coolsville sucks.
What you call an icon living? Puerto Rican living, Miss Rich just did it. 9 long over 5 minutes. Whoa, we up too hot in the place.
Hi guys, I'm Mayana and today I'm going to be doing my September wrap up. I only read 10 books this month. Well, 9 books and 1 graphic novel. And I'm okay with that because last month I read 30, and that means that since I didn't read that much in September, I'm going to read I'm going to read so much in October. Like, I'm going to read a lot. So I'm not even worried. Like, I'm not even fronting. Yeah, let's just get started with this wrap up. The first book I read in September was The Turn of the Key by Ruth Ware, and I gave this book 4 out of 5 stars. This book is basically about this girl who is a nanny, and she ends up nannying for this house, and the house is a smart house too, so she ends up nannying for this house, and it's like a lot of like weird creepy things go on, and you can't really tell if it's paranormal or like you know, like a thriller. And I actually really like that aspect of it. Like, I like not knowing whether something is I know it's not paranormal because it's a thriller, like, so you know it's not. So like trying to figure out what it actually is just so interesting to me. But yeah, and 3 kids. Like, the parents that she works for has 3 kids. No, 4? 3. She has some kids, and the kids are bad. Like, these kids are bad and rude and mean to her, so they don't like her. And one of the kid dies, and that's told in like the first pages of the story. And the story actually starts off like, I did not kill those kids. Like, I did not kill that kid. And I just thought that, like, you know, that was so interesting. The reason why I gave it 4 stars instead of 5 is because I personally did not like the ending. Like, I love plot twists, and the plot twist at the end was actually really, really good. But the way that the story ended, and when you find out what actually happened, I personally did not like that. Like, it was good. Like, I feel like a lot of people would like it, but for me, I look for more of like a spookier reasoning, and that reasoning was just like, it wasn't good enough for me. Like, when you find out what actually happened, it's just like, you know. But for me, it just wasn't interesting. Like, I kind of wish it was something else. The next book I actually read in September was an ARC, and I'm pretty sure it actually did come out in September anyways, and this was Rules for Vanishing, and this book was so good. This book is about a girl whose sisters goes missing, and this town that they live in kind of have like this folklore, not a folklore, but like, what are they called? You know, like legends. Yeah, like legends. Basically, this town has like this legend of this girl who like goes missing in the woods, and then her brother like goes looking for her, and he finds her talking to this man, and like they kind of just like walk off into like the darkness together or something like that. And it's just them trying to figure out like what actually happened to that little girl, like if it's true. And they have like a song themed after her and like everything. And so the green girl's sister goes missing, and she thinks it's like, you know, has something to do with that legend. So she gathers her friends, and they go into like the Vanishing to look for her. And I personally really love this book. I give this book 5 out of 5 stars. Like, this book was so good. And also, this book is told in mixed media. So you get like letters, and you get text messages, and you see their group chat, and it has interviews, and like, this book is just told in so many different, there's like video evidence, which it really isn't. Like, it's just like, you know, them talking from the video, which is like really, really good. Like, this book, I love like mixed media format, and I love that this book is told in it. It's compared to what is that movie called? You know, the movie where the girl goes looking for the witches. I hate that movie, but it's like a cult classic, but I personally hated it. But yeah, it's compared to that movie a lot. But I love this book. Like, this book was so good, and I loved it. The next book I read in September was a reread, and this was For the Wicked Saints. You don't know what this book is about. It's a very, very popular book. It's just about a girl who can talk to the gods, and it's about a king who doesn't have an eye, and a monster, and just the girl, like the king kills, not the king, I meant to say prince. The prince kills all the people in the girl's not country, but like her side of like their fantasy world. And so she wants to go back and seek revenge, and so she ends up teaming up with the monster boy, and they just go on like this journey, and you follow all 3. Well, you follow the main girl and the prince's perspective. I personally, I'm in love with the prince, and I just reread this book to annotate it because I did get an ARC for the second book, and I'm going to be reading that soon. So I wanted to brush up on my information and actually like annotate this before I got the second book. And this book is still a 4-star book. Like, I feel like I like the author tweeted something. It was like, because everyone has been talking about like enemies to lovers, and the author was like, oh well, nobody's been talking about my book, so I'm just gonna like leave this here. And I'm like, sis, that's because we want slow burn, and this book was not slow burn enough for me to recommend to people. Like, it was good, but it's not slow burn enough for me to recommend to people. Like, I like slow burn. My favorite slow burn series, the slow burn didn't even happen until like the relationship, they didn't even kiss until like the third book. Like, that's how good I like my slow burn. And yeah, this book is good, but it's so hard to get into. Like, I remember literally reading this book for 2 hours and only being 20 pages in. And I'm like, I can read like, you know, I can read more than that. Like, by 2 hours I should be at least like 200 pages in. And it was so hard for me to get into this book, and I had to listen to the audiobook to help me get through it. And it's just so complex, and it's so heavy, and all the names are so like, it's just it's so hard to get into. And I mean, I do like the series, and I just wish it was a lot. Like, I feel like the author tries to be like this, like, you know, like this heavy author, and like, I don't want to say things to not like make people want to read it, because it is a good book, and the plot is really good, and the characters are good. And you know, if you're into dark things like me, like, everything about this book is so perfect. Like, I always say, this is such a Mayana book. Like, it's called Wicked Saints. Like, the tagline for this book is let them fear her. Like, the cover and the spine, like, everything about this book is literally perfect for me. But like I said, the author kind of tries hard to make it like this hard-hitting fantasy, and it's just you know. So if you can listen to the audiobook, I would say so. I don't know how I'm gonna get through this arc, but luckily I started rereading this early, and I got the arc early, because I got this arc like like the month before this book came out, and it was so hard for me to read, and I ended up reading this book the month after it came out because it had an audiobook to it. But now I have time. I have until April to read it, so if I read just like a little bit every day, maybe it'll be easier to get through. Like, you know, I think authors do grow, and maybe she did grow out of that, but you know, that's what I'm reading it for, to see. So I got my apple cider. This is my sister cup that she got for prom, but she's at college now. So the next book that I have is The Captive Prince, and I gave this book 4.5 out of 5 stars. I read this book because Whitney over at Witty Novels, y'all know her, she loves this book, but she doesn't talk about it a lot in her videos because of the controversy, which I understand. I really like this book. I'm not going to explain what it's about because of the controversy, and I don't want to get attacked. I already get attacked enough. We don't need it to happen anymore. But I really like this book. I think that the writing was so amazing. Like, the writing so amazing. But like I said, this book has trigger warning for a lot of things, and I would just say look into the book and look into other people's reviews. I would suggest looking into reviews of people who don't like this book and people who do like this book before you read it and you take your own chance on it. I'll leave the link of these books down below because I only read 10 books, so I'll leave the link to the Goodreads so you can read the descriptions on your own, because I'm not about to get attacked, okay? The next book I read was Falling Crest High, and I gave this book 2 out of 5 stars. I read this book because Oshley over at Oshi Reads talked about this book in her video, and she was saying how this book was basically like dark, and how this was like, this paved the way for Brayshaw High. And if you guys don't know, I love Brayshaw High. Like, it was one, I rated it at 5 stars. It's one of my favorite dark romances ever because I love dark romances. And this book was not dark. It was not dark at all. I think that this book was very corny, and it was written very like, it was just very corny, and it read like a Wattpad book. Like, I say that a lot, but like, this one is like literally something I probably would have read off Wattpad. Like, I'm not even kidding you guys. Like, this actually does like read like a Wattpad book, and everything just comes of convenience to the character. Like, basically what this book is about this girl who her mom cheats on her dad, and her mom moves in with the guy that she cheated on her dad with, and then the new stepdad is like the father of like the most popular boys in their town called the Cade Brothers. And the girl also has a boyfriend, and she finds out that her boyfriend has been cheating on her with her best friend, and her best friend knew, and her mom knew, and everybody knew it, but nobody told her. Like, come on now, that just does not seem realistic to me. Like, that does not seem realistic at all for your man to be sleeping with your best friend and your mom know and not tell you, and then she's like, oh, I don't care. Like, she just doesn't care. And I'm like, what is this book? Like, they try to make her be as this person who like doesn't care, and like they try to make it seem like she doesn't care and she has like nothing to like, you know, left to care about. Like, she doesn't have any friends and she doesn't have a man's, and her like, but it's not like that. Like, she ends up getting 2 new friends after the whole situation. This guy is literally pining after her. And it's just weird. Like, it was just weird, and it was not written well, and I didn't like it at all. And the mom was just crazy. And then I just read the paragraph for each book that came after, because it's like an 11-book series, and the mom ends up becoming like literally crazy. Like, it was just, it was weird. I couldn't do it. The next book I read was Anne of Green Gables, and this is a classic. I read a classic. I did not like it. I gave it 3 out of 5 stars. I didn't hate it or anything. I just thought that, I think that if I would have read this when I was like 12, I would have loved it. But the fact that I'm 21, is kind of just like, it missed the mark for me. Like, it wasn't bad or anything, it just missed the mark for me. And I read it because I wanted to watch the show, and with an E, and everybody's always like Gilbert Blythe. And I remember people literally were like, you don't stand Gilbert, when like I made like one of my old videos about like I think it was like Smash or Pass, like book characters, and I was like, yeah, I don't know who like Gilbert Blythe is, and everyone was like, oh my gosh, you don't know who that is? And I'm just like, nope, I don't, I'm sorry. And I mean, I met Gilbert, and I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Yeah, I'm just gonna watch the show. I also read Interview with the Vampire, which I gave 2 out of 5 stars. And I mean, I guess this book is considered a classic, but is it? This book is about a guy who interviews a vampire, about him becoming a vampire, and I just thought it was long and it was boring. And I really only read this book so I can watch the movie Interview with the Vampire. And I recently just found out that there is, what is the movie called? Queen of the Damned. That is also like part of the series, and I never knew that, and I never knew that the movies were related to each other, or that the books, that they were books. And so I'm gonna read the second book. Queen of the Damned is very popular within the Black community, which I think is so ironic because like Aaliyah's in it, and I really want to watch that because like I love anything spooky, and I want to watch that. I've never seen it before, and I always feel so uncultured because I've never seen it before, and I just learned that it was in this series, which I thought was so crazy because Brad Pitt is in the first movie, and then did they ever make a second movie? Because there's a book in between for Lisette, and I've never heard anybody talk about the movie. But yeah, I'm going to read the second book and the second and third book just so I can watch all of the movies, because I have nothing else better to do with my life. The next book I read was an ARC, and this book comes out in November 12th, and it's called Not the Girl You Married. And I really, really like this book. I gave this book 4 to 5 stars. This book is basically a gender swapped How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days. Some people keep referring to it as a retelling, and I just don't think that modern things can be retellings. Like, I feel like it, like Romeo and Juliet can be a retelling, yes, but How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days cannot be a retelling. Like, I don't think that modern things can be a retelling. But yeah, well, they can. I probably sound like an idiot, but those are my personal opinions. If you believe otherwise and you believe otherwise, then that is totally fine. You know, do what you want with your life. But yeah, it's basically the exact same movie, but just the genders are switched. And I really, really like this because this book does have like smut and stuff in it, and I just like when, like, it read like a rom-com, and I like that they talked about the things that they talked about in this book, or they show things that they show in this book with the smut, just because I feel like in rom-coms they don't, and they try to keep it like PG, and they try to keep it like they try to keep it PG, and then, you know, so kids can watch and stuff, which I do understand. But I kind of like when rom-coms have, like, you know, like dirty funny jokes in them and things like that. Maybe it's because I'm getting older and I can understand them now, whereas I probably would watch How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days, and they probably have like a bunch of dirty jokes that went over my head when I was younger, but I haven't seen it in a long time. But I gave this book 4 instead of 5 stars because the ending was just very meh to me. The ending, I personally just don't like the ending. Like, the ending is very much stereotypical, and I mean, it makes sense for the title. It makes sense for the title, but I just don't like those endings in my romance books because I feel like every romance book ends in the exact same way, and I'm just so sick of it. Like, can a book just end? You get their happy ending and it ends. Like, I don't see why romance books need epilogues. I really don't. I'm sorry, I don't. But yeah, I really like this book, especially because the main character, she's a woman of color. She's black and she's white, and so she's mixed. And I really liked her because she's very, I talked about this in my contemporary thought video, but I don't think anybody really watched those, and that's totally fine. I also, if anybody actually watched my contemporary time videos and they're wondering what happened, I gave up 4 or 5 days in just because I needed some fantasy in my life, and I like contemporary, but I can't read contemporary for 7 days straight. Like, I can read contemporary for 5 days straight. Like, I just need a little bit more variety in my life. Like, I can't just read one genre at a time. Like, if you look at my shelves, I have a mixture. It may look like fantasy because you only see these shelves, and I have books literally everywhere, but I have a mixture of everything, and I love variety and all that. But anyways, I love the main character. Like, I relate to her a lot, and she's very like vulgar, and she's not seemed as classy, and I definitely understand that because I mean, I dress girly a lot, and I wear makeup and I wear heels. I love heels. I like literally not trying to be like I'm not like other girls, but I feel like when people look at me, they expect me to be very girly. Like, this happened when I worked at Charming Charlie's. Like, people I worked with would expect me to be so girly just because I love wearing makeup and I love wearing pink, and pink is one of my favorite colors, and I just love dressing like really girly. But when I talk, like, how I talk does not match what I look like at all. Like, I talk like, I use guy phrases, like I use bro, dude, dog. Like, literally, I talk like a guy, and I have the mouth of a sailor. Like, a lot of people, especially because I'm so tiny, like, a lot of people expect me to be dainty, and I mean, I am, but the way I talk and the way that I act, like, I literally sit like a guy, as long as I don't have like a skirt or a dress on, because I'm not an animal, but. And I feel like the main character is like that a lot. Like, she's not deemed as classy. Like, literally, this guy was like, why do you like her? Like, she's not even classy. And he calls her Duchess, which I think to some people could be cringy, but I like when characters get like cute and unique nicknames from their significant other. And he kind of calls her Duchess because she like stuck up the middle finger at him. He saw something classy in that, and she was like, classy? No. Assertive? Yes. Raging bitch? Definitely. And I was like, literally me. Like, there were a couple of lines in this book that I was like, okay, like, she's literally me. And Jack was such a nice, sweet guy, and it was crazy because usually when I read books, like, I like when characters have like banter and all this stuff, and when there's like a bad boy and stuff like that, and this book didn't have any of that, and that was totally fine. Like, I love this book, and it's very rare when like I love a book where characters like hit it off when they first meet. I mean, they didn't like hit it off, but yeah, Jack was very, very sweet, and he was such a nice guy. So if you love like nice guy stories and you think there aren't enough, read this, okay? Read this and you will not regret it. I spent so much time talking about this book. Very interesting. The last book that I read in October was Pumpkinheads by Rainbow Rowell. If you follow me on Twitter, you know that I'm not the biggest Rainbow Rowell fan, since as I have a special edition of Fangirl. But yeah, I personally, I love this graphic novel. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. This graphic novel is about a girl named Deja and a boy named Josiah, and they work in this pumpkin patch together, and it is their last day. This is their last night. Like, this book follows like the last 30 minutes of their night. This is their last night in the pumpkin patch, and Josiah has a crush on a girl, so Deja is trying to help him get with her. And this book is so cute. Like, it has a map in it. The edition I got, I don't even know what kind of edition this is. It could be the UK edition. I don't know. It was on Amazon, and I thought it was really, really pretty, so I got it. But I know that in the other edition, like, the map is like on like the front page, but for this one, the map is on the front. Like, half the map is on the front and half the map is on the back. And the art in this is just so pretty, and the story is just so fun, and you just follow them throughout the pumpkin patch. And I don't usually learn a lot from like when I read, which is crazy because like that's why most people read, is to learn new things. But this book like taught me so much. Like just like I said, Josiah has a crush on this girl, and they've been working in this pumpkin patch like every year for the past like 2 years, and they only work twice a month, and this is their last night ever because they're going off to college. I don't think I mentioned that, but yeah, so he has this crush on this girl, and he's like, when he's like so shy and scared to talk to her, and he views like anything as like fate. Like when he couldn't get to her, he was like, maybe it's fate telling me that like I shouldn't be with her. And Dave's just like, stop looking at everything as fate and start looking at it as like you need to start taking a chance. Like you need to start going for what you want. Like don't look at it as a sign and look for it. Like look at it as you need to learn to go for what you want. And I thought that was really important because for me, I relate to Josiah's character a lot because I'm very like shy and scared, and to talk to like guys that I like, and I usually wait for guys to like make the first like step with me, which is probably why I'm still single, because it's yet to happen. But and I just like that it, like I always look at things as a sign. Like literally I look at everything as a sign. I look at everything as a like, you know, fate, and I'm like, maybe fate doesn't want us to be together. And it's like I should not take my, you know, my shot because like I think everything is fate. And I mean, like The Office, like Michael Scott from The Office says, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take, you know. And so I really like that. And the ending was super cute. The main character, she's black and she's bi, and like you just show like the relationships that she's been throughout the story, and the story is so diverse, which is crazy because I'm literally on Twitter ranting about how not like diverse Rainbow Rowell is. And I mean, I feel like a lot of people in the comments are gonna be like mad because I talk trash about this book, but I still bought it, and like, you know, the author is still getting money. But I mean, it's my money and I'm gonna do what I want with my money, and if you think that's pointless, then that's fine. Like I do think that Rainbow Rowell, she is trash for what she wrote in Eleanor Park, and what she wrote in that book was racist, and she's never apologized for it, and that is my biggest issue. I think that you can still support an author, and like anybody who like loves Carry On, or anybody who like is so excited for Wayward Son, like that is okay, and you know, you can do what you want, but as long as you acknowledge that she never apologized for what she did, is totally fine by me. Like I'm just all for holding people accountable. And I mean, if anybody wants to get mad that I spent my money on this book, like that is their own problem, because you know, it's my money and I do what I want with it. And I mean, I still rated this book 5 stars, so it's not like I wasted my money anyways. Like I knew I was gonna like it because everyone kept talking about how cute it was. And honestly, if the main character was not black, I would not have picked this book up. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. This book could have been as diverse as it still is, and if the main character was not black, I would not have picked it up. But she is, and I enjoyed this story, and it's such a cute Halloween story. I really need to go to a pumpkin patch before fall, like before October is over. So yeah, that's it for this wrap up. Please like, comment, and subscribe to join the cult. Follow my social media, it's always linked down below. And yeah.
Scary skeletons and shivers down your spine. Shrieking skulls will shock your